So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. So guys, we've got some news from Freddie Roach. Freddie Roach says that Pacquiao and Spence are the two best in the division. A lot of Crawford fans aren't going to be happy after hearing that. Guys, before I get into it, I want to thank everybody for the live stream yesterday. I thought the live stream was very successful. I thought the live stream was great. I really enjoyed it. And hopefully we can carry on doing more live stream. Hopefully I'll go live tomorrow, and we'll do another great live stream. I really enjoyed it. The two live streams that we've done, I think they've been great. I think they've been great live streams. Great live streams. So yeah, we'll definitely do some more. We'll definitely get these live streams in, because I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the back and forth, people coming on, giving their opinion. We did have some few technical issues the other day on the live stream, so hopefully, you know, the live streams will be a lot better, and Mackay won't get. I don't know what was happening with Mackay's button. I just couldn't sort his button out, whatever. There's some kind of technical issue anyway. But yeah, we've been enjoying them, and I think the live streams have been very successful, very good, and we'll carry on doing the live streams. Yeah, let's get into the video. Oh yeah, there's some news about Khan and Brook, which I'm going to break down for tomorrow. I'm going to upload that video tomorrow, which Eddie Hearn has mentioned today. It looks like we may see that fight finally, after so many years of, you know, it going back and forth. I'm not sure if anyone's interested. We'll find out tomorrow when I upload the video what people's thoughts are. But yeah, in terms of the welterweight division, Pacquiao and Spence, Freddie Roach believes are the two best welterweights. But in terms of consensus, I don't agree with that, in the sense that a lot of people would say no, Crawford and Spence are the two best. However, but if we're going off resume, if you look at the last, obviously Pacquiao's resume is, there's no question in it. But if we go off what have you done for me recently at welterweight, or what have you done for me at welterweight, Pacquiao's last win was Thurman. Spence has beaten Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, and he beat Kell Brook a long time ago. You know, that was a long time ago. But if you look at his two recent wins at welterweight, I know he beat Mikey, but again, Mikey for me is not a... Now, you could probably make an argument Mikey beats everybody that you know, Terence Crawford's beat at welterweight, possibly. I believe Mikey beats Khan and Brook right now. Not in their primes, but right now I think he beats them. I think Mikey beats... does he beat Benavidez? I believe so. Jeff Horn, yes. So I think Mikey beats probably everybody that Terence Crawford beat at welterweight. Possibly. I'm not saying it would be easy. I think they may be able to, like Kavaliauskas and Benavidez, they may be able to put up a very good fight against Mikey, but I would favor Mikey. I really rate Mikey. Let's not forget, Mikey beat Jesse Vargas in his last fight, and Jesse Vargas is no slouch. You know, Jesse Vargas isn't washed up or completely past his best. Jesse Vargas is still a good world level fighter. You know, he's still operating at that kind of level. So yeah, that's definitely a fighter that I think that was a good win. Especially Jesse Vargas is a lot bigger than Mikey. You know, so that was definitely a good win, a good comeback win after the Spence defeat. But the thing is with Mikey, he's just out of shape now. I don't go off on a tangent. He's definitely, in my opinion, not a top welterweight. I definitely think he can go to 140 and be a serious threat there, and potentially even beat everybody there. Because I rate Mikey that. I think Mikey is great. And I think he's underrated. I think he's very underrated. And then after coming on the live stream, listening to what you guys had to say about Mikey, I was surprised. Or a couple of you didn't think that, you know, Mikey's a little overrated, which I totally disagree. But getting off that, is Spence and Pacquiao the two best at welterweight? I would have to say yes. I would have to say number 1 and 2, and I'll put Terence Crawford 3. Not because of the eye test. The eye test would suggest that Crawford could potentially be number 1. But the thing is, Crawford's resume as of right now at welterweight hasn't been stellar. Now, if he fights Sean Porter and dominates Sean Porter, then that may change. Because what that means is now he would have beaten a top 5 welterweight. You have to put Sean Porter in a top 5. You know, if you were to do a top 5, you say Manny Pacquiao, Spence, Manny Pacquiao, Crawford, and, you know, you'd probably say Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. Again, by the eye test, I would probably say Jaron Boots Ennis, in my opinion, beats Porter and Thurman right now. So you could potentially put him in the top 5, but he's not as accomplished as those guys. So I would put those 5 as the top 5 welterweights. And then you've got guys like Danny Garcia, Virgil Ortiz, Jaron Boots, Ennis. You got guys like that. I do think Danny Garcia, although Danny Garcia is not past his best, I do think Danny Garcia is on the last stage of his career. Remember, he's been around for a very long time. He was around at world level and been operating at world level a lot longer than Sean Porter and those guys. Because remember, he fought Khan in 2011. And prior to fighting Khan, he fought Eric Morales. So this is a guy I know it was an old Eric Morales, but he's been fighting at world level. So I do think Danny Garcia's had a long career. And his career might be teetering out. He may be coming towards the end of his career. He's had a great career, Garcia. I don't think he was that great a welterweight as he was at 140. I think at 140 he was very good, Danny Garcia. And he had some very good wins at 140 as well. Elite wins at 140. But the best two in the division right now, I have to say, Pacquiao and Spence. I think the Ring Magazine put the belt on the line for this fight as well, because they consider it number 1 and 2 as well. A lot of people would say that Terence Crawford's being disrespected because he's the number 2. But what are we going off? The fact that he's a champion? Remember, Manny Pacquiao beat Keith Thurman and he was a WBA champion. I know he hasn't been reinstated, but really, Manny Pacquiao beat a champion. Whereas, Crawford beat Jeff Horn, which a lot of people think that Jeff Horn shouldn't have even been champion because he didn't lose to Pacquiao. He didn't beat Pacquiao. And they felt that Pacquiao beat him and Pacquiao was hard done by. So, again, don't get me wrong, Crawford did what he had to do with Jeff Horn. He beat him quite comfortably. However, you have to say that beating Keith Thurman is a lot harder than beating Jeff Horn. This is why I say that this next fight, if Crawford Porter does happen, it does get made, and it looks like it will get made, and it looks like it will happen because it looks like everyone's heading in the same direction. And this is what Crawford wanted for a while. This is what Porter wants. Porter's in a position where he's in the Who Needs Me club. He's not going to get a fight with Pacquiao. He's not, he could fight Keith Thurman, but what does that mean? Porter fighting Keith Thurman, what does that mean? What does that gain? Porter fighting Terence Crawford. That Porter fighting Keith Thurman when he was champion before Pacquiao fought him, that makes sense for Porter. But you're looking at a guy in Terence Crawford who's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, or one of the best. Canelo's the best pound-for-pound fighter, but he's one of the best. He's number 2, right, in most people's book. Sean Porter would be fighting one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world and a world champion. And a guy that's undefeated. So right now, Terence Crawford is far more credible opponent and far more to gain than beating Keith Thurman. Because a lot of people that I've spoke to, and a lot of the things that I've seen on Facebook and the forums, a lot of people's opinions are that Sean Porter will beat Keith Thurman. Now, do I think Sean Porter beats the best version of Keith Thurman? Absolutely not. I don't think he does. And by the way, the first fight was very close. But I do think Keith Thurman's a better boxer. And I think Keith Thurman, being a big welterweight, Porter can't bully him. He can bully him, but I don't think he can be as effective because of the fact that Keith Thurman's bigger. He's stronger. So Sean Porter will have a harder time to do what he does. Because if you look at some of the guys like Devin Alexander, early on, when he fought Paulie, for example, a lot of those guys were smaller guys coming up. Broner even. And Porter's a very strong dude. Very, very strong dude. But against the bigger guys at welterweight, those guys can't be bullied around because they can grab hold like Kell Brook did. They can push Porter around because they're also big. But Porter always makes it a tough fight. That's why the Crawford fight's interesting, because would he be able to push Crawford around? Because remember, Crawford's not a big welterweight. He's a guy that's moved up. So could Porter bully Crawford? Who knows? And that's what makes that fight interesting. But yeah, if Crawford puts in a dominating performance against Porter, then there's an argument. There's an argument that, you could say that he's number 1 or 2, depending on how he beats him. I think if Spence beats Pacquiao, or I take that back. I don't think he can be number 1. I think he could be number 2, because whoever wins the Pacquiao Spence fight, if Pacquiao wins, you have to say that he's just beaten Thurman and Spence. So he's the number one welterweight without question. Crawford beating Porter won't put him there. And if Spence wins, you have to say Spence is, because Spence has beaten Danny Garcia, Sean Porter himself, and he would have beaten Manny Pacquiao. So those are, for me, elite wins at welterweight. And although I think Porter is a good fighter, I still don't think I still don't think a win over him would put, Crawford number one. I think he needs to fight the winner of that fight to prove he's the best. I think he needs to prove himself. Just like Fury beating Wilder doesn't. Yes, from a skill point of view, we think Fury's the number one. Looking at him skill for skill. However, in order for him to prove that he is the number one, he needs to beat Joshua. The same thing in the welterweight division, that Terence Crawford, by beating Porter, yeah, that's a good win. And I think Lou DeBella mentioned this. It's a good win, don't get me wrong. But if we think Terence Crawford is as good as what we think he is, then he should be beating Sean Porter. Right? He should beat Sean Porter. The way Terence Crawford gets praised, right? Second, he's the best pound for pound fighter in the world, or the second best in a lot of people's opinion, then he should be beating Sean Porter, who's a guy that's been beaten 3 times before, potentially more. There's certain decisions that were close that potentially went his way. So really Crawford should be doing a job on it. And Porter now has had a tough career. He's had a lot of tough fights. He's not had easy fights. He's not had it easy. He's been in there with everybody. Porter's resume at welterweight, whether he's won or lost, is probably, he's fought everyone. He's literally fought everyone. You can go Devin Alexander, Paulie Malignaggi, Julio Diaz, Kell Brook, Spence, Danny Garcia, Ugas. And to me, he lost that Ugas fight. But this is what I mean. Porter's been in with, although he got the decision, I thought he lost against Ugas. But this is what I mean. Porter's literally been in with everyone. He's been in with everyone. And you got to respect that. And now if he fights Terence Crawford, wow, what a career he's building. If he beats Terence Crawford, oh my goodness. That puts Sean Porter at a very, very high level, because he's had some good wins. Danny Garcia was a good win. Ugas was a good win. Although, like I said, both those fights were close, and both those fights potentially could have gone against him. But on paper, they're wins. He beat Paulie Malignaggi in convincing fashion. He beat Devin Alexander, Julio Diaz. Again, that's another fight where he drew the first time, and a lot of people thought he lost. But then he avenged that. I'll say avenged the loss, but he then put it right in the rematch, where beat him in the rematch. But this is what I mean. I think Sean Porter's had a very, very good career, and he's shows that. That's why when people said that, or some people were saying Porter's not going to fight Terence, he's going to duck this, that, I said, nah, Porter will fight anyone. His resume shows that. And you guys know how big I am on resume. When someone's got a good resume and someone fights the best, I really like that. And for me, Porter's that. So yeah, for me, I do agree with Freddie Roach that Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence are the 2 best right now in the division, just because of their resume. And I think they're the fighting, and that's why the Ring Magazine has put that belt on the line. Whoever wins that, I think, has an argument for number 1, and Terence Crawford is going to have to beat whoever wins that fight to prove that he's the number 1. So that's my take. But leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.